Oh my God, you guys, listen, a new update with the David case. Now, you know there is movement. There was a grand jury convened. The LAPD said that they expect an arrest this week. I assume they're talking about the week after Thanksgiving because the week's already over. And they're saying they're 100% going to get justice for Celeste. However, there is an internal civil war going on between the medical examiner and the chief investigator of the David and Celeste case. Now listen, we can agree to disagree, but I think that the chief investigator moved really weird in the David case. It almost seemed like they didn't want to make an arrest. They haven't even questioned the main suspect, which was the car that she was found passed away in. Didn't even question him. On top of that, right? They seem to keep giving him alibis that don't keep holding up. Now, they hit the LA medical examiner with a gag order because they said that releasing that information would jeopardize the investigation, even though it has been proven, even on even more higher profile, that releasing autopsy results actually makes people come forward. But anyway, TMZ, who has deep ties to the LAPD and to the medical examiner, is coming out and highlighting that there is a war between the LAPD and the LA County medical examiner over the release of the information in the David and Celeste Rivas case. Let's listen to this, and you know I have commentary. Listen.
Jury that has convened in the case involving the death of Celeste Rivas. And this is a really interesting twist. And underlying it all is what I believe is a war between the LAPD and the LA County Medical Examiner.
We did call this last week. You guys said we were, well, okay, nobody said we were conspiracy theorists because you guys were right there with me, but let's continue. But a lot of people have spoken about how weird not all the LAPD, but certain parts of the LAPD are moving with this case.
So here's what happened. The LA Times got hold of a petition that the LAPD filed asking to block the medical examiner from releasing any information about the death of Celeste Rivas. This is highly unusual, and as a matter of fact, the LAPD tried this back in September, and the judge in that case said there's no basis for doing that the LAPD didn't make a case. Well,
why would they do this back in September before they even knew what was going on? Again, the LAPD didn't question the man who lived with the girl who was found dead in his car trunk, but they went and got a gag order for an autopsy? Why? They put more effort into, and this is back in September when her body was first found, and they said they didn't even know whether it was a man or a woman. And TMZ brought Celeste's mom forward, and she had to beg the police to even run a DNA test on that one. Again, it's really, really weird, but let's get back to what Harvey has to say.
Went back again, apparently a few days ago, and they asked again, seal all the information that the medical examiner has, and that judge did it. And
really quick, let's not forget, even after they asked for it to be sealed and it couldn't be sealed, the LAPD started saying, we think it was an overdose. You know, there might not have been a crime committed. I think she died of an overdose. Who's to say there's a crime? There might be no crime. How, without even having an autopsy, are you releasing to the public on record you think she died of an OD, and releasing on record that there's a good chance no crime of a girl being found in a Tesla folded up or dismembered? There's no crime. Now, again, I will maintain that she had to be dismembered to fit into the front trunk of a Tesla. I know there's a video out. We're going to get back into what Harvey says in a second. Let me just finish this point. I know that there is a video of a father letting his 5'2" daughter go into a Tesla, and she could fit into the trunk and also close the door. But you guys are forgetting variations. A human body that can contort and squeeze themselves is different than a dead body where rigor mortis has set in that it cannot fold or bend. That is completely different. Again, why I think she was dismembered. Again, the police said that she was not decapitated, but they did not remark on her being dismembered. Listen.
The medical examiner was pissed and came out with a statement saying it's highly unusual. They believe in transparency. Obviously a problem. The LA Times has seen that petition. The petition itself is sealed. So you can't even see the LAPD applying to get the order. It's all sealed. The LA Times, they say they've seen the petition, and in it, it says that a grand jury was convened in mid-November, just a week or so ago, and it's an investigative grand jury where they can subpoena witnesses and help the LAPD get information. Because think about it, the LAPD calls somebody and says, we want to talk to you. They say no. But if the grand jury subpoenas them, they have to come and they have to testify. So
why does Harvey always just sound like he literally just put down 3 Manhattans, hiccuping and everything? I don't know. I'm sure it's just gas reflex, but I don't know. He always looks like he just came off of a 4-day bender and they woke him up and was like, come on, get into it. You know what I'm saying?
That's why law enforcement uses these grand juries. So this is an investigative grand jury. It met for a couple of days. We don't know if it's still in force. My guess would be it probably is, because the LAPD is looking at this, trying to get information. And a lot of people, when LAPD calls, says, we don't want to talk, but they have to if it's a grand jury. So this gets back to David. We told you that David, even though nothing is formal, the LAPD is viewing him as a suspect.
Why wouldn't they formalize him as a suspect? If they formalized him as a suspect, they could bring him in for questioning.
In a homicide. They believe it's a homicide, even though the medical examiner hasn't yet said that, and we're told they may never be able to because of the condition of her body. We also, you may know, reported a story over the weekend that we have been told by sources that her body was partially frozen. The captain of the LAPD came out and said that's not true. We went back to our source connected to the medical examiner, and they tripled, quadrupled, sextupled down and said it was partially frozen. Interesting that her fingers were so waterlogged they couldn't get a fingerprint off of it. This is direct from the medical examiner's documents. It says that they couldn't get that fingerprint because of waterlogged fingers.
Now, let me just say this. Okay, fine. But can I also say this too? I think the real danger in all this, besides the fact that, of course, justice for Celeste, is that whoever did it, and I think it's David given all the evidence, they're a serial killer. I do believe that the more and more the fact that the coroner is saying that they might never get, the coroner is saying that they might never get fingerprints, and a cause of death, it makes me believe 2 things. One, they carefully planned this out. I believe they meticulously researched how to make a body unidentifiable for an autopsy. And just hear me out. If Celeste's mother had not known to go to TMZ, we would have never found out. And I do believe that David thought that Celeste had 0 contact about the family. And I do believe David was like, yo, don't tell your family my name. Don't tell them something, because if they find out, I could get locked up. I could do this. I could do that. And the only thing is, you took for granted the fact that she was a young girl and she did have a cousin she was close to. And even though she had a very, very, very contemptuous relationship with her, a fraud relationship with her immediate family, you know how that is when you're a kid. You still every now and then check in. You still every now and then have contact. I think that David overestimated how much Celeste was being quiet. And I think that when Celeste, and he probably asked her, did you tell anybody? And she was like, no, even though she had told a lot of people. Again, if we had not known that it just would have been a woman found in David's car. Anyway, you guys, listen, let me know what you think in the comments. You guys know this is ongoing. They have promised an arrest in this week. We'll see what happens. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.